Welcome to Duality Check, the podcast where two brothers embark on a journey through the realms of scientific inquiry, the mysteries of the past, and the uncharted frontiers of spirituality. Join us as we explore the wonders of our world and beyond, all while embracing the roles of curious bystanders rather than experts. Together we'll unravel the tapestry of existence, blending the dichotomies of knowledge and wonder. Get ready to question, ponder, and delve into the dualities that shape our understanding of reality on Duality Check. I'm Drew.
And I'm Dean, and welcome to episode number 83.
All right.
This is part 8 of Alien Interview.
I'm loving this interview, and I'm loving this book. I mean, it's basically the whole book is the interview, but
yeah,
with all the little side notes and stuff too. And
we're getting close to the end here.
Maybe another 2 parts.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So I think this episode will probably be a chapter.
Cool.
We'll see at what speed we get through this. Today we have a lesson in science.
Cool.
Then
And I've got a few clips to start us off too, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, we got a bunch of shorter
Having to do with
chapters
science
afterwards.
Yeah, so maybe this and another.
Wrap up.
Maybe
Yeah.
this and one other chapter. We'll see. Maybe.
And then there's a postscript from Mrs. McElroy.
Is that like after the interview? Her little thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is more like her maybe speaking to Lawrence Spencer.
Oh, okay.
Which
Which might be fascinating.
yeah,
are you
could
into
be.
the book as far as we are, or are we reading it together now?
Then a chunk of it, I actually haven't read this chapter. A chunk of it is just indexed too. So
Cool.
Yeah, we're pretty close to the end here.
Nice. So yeah, welcome to episode 83.
So yeah, you brought some stuff.
Yeah, I didn't really check for messages, and
I did.
I feel like we
didn't
did.
see anything.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't have much going on this week.
So you brought us.
Yeah, I brought. We'll start with the Joe Rogan clip that I brought.
Okay.
And this is of his recent interview with David Kipping, who is an astronomer or astrologist, I think, actually. I don't know what the official term is, and we'll probably find out.
All right, here we go.
Had you had anything? Because it's showing a different screen from on the OBS.
Oh, yeah, it's not refreshing. Let me change that 1 second, guys. Refresh the browser, please. Cool. And it's updating now. Cool. So this is titled James Webb Space Telescope and the Big Bang.
Yeah. Let's start this off, and we'll talk about it a little bit after.
But one of the most pressing things, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you in, because you are very knowledgeable in all things space, is the James Webb Telescope and all the different stuff that they've been finding, particularly about these galaxies that were formed very shortly after not within our lifetime shortly, but cosmologically shortly after the Big Bang, that it seems like we have to figure out why these things are forming. Is the universe older? There's all this different kind of speculation. Maybe the Big Bang is not 13 point whatever billion years old, but maybe 22, 24. Like, what is your take on all this?
Yeah, the James Webb Space Telescope is such an incredible instrument. The data has just blown us away. When you build this thing and you look at it unfolding in space, you think there's so many ways it could go wrong that we all were just like, I think it was 215 moving parts or something had to unfold. So, just the fact the fact it just all worked was just remarkable.
Right.
And then when we got those first images, they just kind of blew us away as well, because we had sort of these engineering expectations of what it would do, but the data was just even better than that. So when it, of course, the first thing you want to do is point it to the most distant part of the universe and see what's out there in those darkest patches. And so when it did that, it started finding a couple of things. It started finding quasars, which are kind of the center of these very active galaxies. These are supermassive black holes that have loads of crap falling in, and they're spewing out all this energy. They're kind of feeding supermassive black holes. And so we started detecting those way earlier than we thought the universe should be able to build them. Because to make a supermassive black hole, these things are like a 100 million solar masses. Imagine that, 100 million suns have not only been born but died, gone through their entire life cycle, died, collapsed into a black hole, and then those black holes have presumably somehow merged together into this super behemoth of this 100 million solar mass thing. So we're finding those just, 300 million years after the Big Bang. And that was like, hold on, that doesn't make any sense. Like, how can this be? And similarly with the galaxies, we were seeing these images, these galaxies, and you can date roughly how old they should be based off the redshift. So the universe is expanding. So therefore, if something is very far away from us and the universe is expanding, its light gets stretched more and more and more as it journeys over space. And so we can use that redshift to kind of date how old these things are. When we use those dates, we look at these images, again, they seem suspiciously too old. You really shouldn't be able to form these things that early on in the universe. And so that kind of puzzled us. I think for the galaxy thing, there was a bit of a resolution there. One of the resolutions is that we probably miscalculated how easy it is to form these galaxies in the first place. So we had these models for galaxy formation, we had these models for how stars should form, how quickly they should live, but it was all essentially calibrated on what we see around us, like right here in this part of the universe, in the local universe. And then we kind of realized that those same models probably need to be tweaked if you're going to apply them to the early universe, where the density is so much higher, the gas temperature is much hotter, everything's just completely different in the early universe. So when you kind of make those corrections, it actually looks like maybe it's actually possible to make those galaxies earlier than we thought. So I think the galaxy problem is a bit easier to explain. I think the quasar problem to me is more interesting. How do you get those supermassive black holes so early? There's a certain kind of maximum rate you can feed these things called the Eddington limit. And that's sort of you throw mass into a black hole and so much energy is going in, some of it spews back out. And the energy which spews back out stops other stuff coming in. Right? So there's a maximum limit. You can't build a black hole faster, in principle, than this Eddington limit. And yet, when you do the calculation, these black holes must have been fed what we call super Eddington. So faster than Eddington. So something's wrong with our models, right? Either we've got the universe age wrong, which I think is possible, but I would say that's probably a much less likely solution, or we've got the astrophysics wrong.
Why do you think that the universe's age is a less likely solution?
Because we've got this, like in particle physics, you've got the standard model, which includes like all the particles and the electron, the baryons, all these kind of stuff. And in cosmology, we have a similar kind of model. It's called lambda CDM. And so the lambda stands for dark energy, and the CDM is cold dark matter. So this is our standard model, and we have used it to explain so much stuff in the universe, Joe. I mean, we're talking about the cosmic microwave background, oscillations in the sky, these baryonic acoustic oscillations, the stretching of the universe, Cepheids. You can use it to explain so much stuff, and it works beautifully. I mean, it works down to like the 0.01% level. So if you say the universe age is wrong...
Yeah, I really wish I had memes looked up, because I would want to do the one that's like, are you sure?
Yeah. We can do that in post if we need to.
You have to give that up. So maybe it is wrong, but if you give that up, you have to come up with a radical new idea, which can now explain all of this stuff at that same level of precision. The much more likely answer, in my book, is that astrophysics, like the gas swirling around, the plasma colliding with each other, that's just more complicated in my mind than the actual model of just the simple expansion of the universe, which actually is a fairly simple geometric model.
Fairly simple in that you can use whatever methods that we're using currently to measure everything that's out there, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
But if we're using something like the James Webb Telescope, so we're getting a much deeper view of the universe, how limited is the James Webb in comparison to James Webb 2.0, 3.0? Are we going to have to continually revamp what our understanding of this process is?
Yes, we will. And that's
exciting.
That's what I love, right? That's
Isn't
what
that great?
Scientists love. Every time we've built a telescope
Not all
that is,
scientists.
10 times more
What's
precise.
that?
I was going to say, not all scientists love that.
We have been surprised. And
Yeah.
so these early galaxies are a good example. The cosmos
Gives them
experiments that are
something to
going on
do.
now, one of the big
Sure.
Something to write
surprises
grants
is
for.
this thing called the Hubble tension. Have you heard of that? Hubble
No.
tension? So Hubble tension is measuring the expansion rate of the universe. How fast are things flying apart? And you can do it two ways. You can use the cosmic microwave backgrounds. That's the earliest radiation that we can detect. This is that stuff that's about 3 Kelvin warm. You can detect in the microwave. And this is the light which has traveled basically when the universe was 380,000 years old. It's that light, and we see it in all directions. That's how we know the Big Bang kind of didn't happen in one place. It happened everywhere, because you just see this light coming in from all directions. And from studying that radiation, you can kind of get a model of the universe, and then you can calculate, using this model, how fast should the universe be expanding today if I run the clock forward. And you get a number. And then, if you do that same experiment but locally, you actually measure the stars. You measure the supernovae around us, these pulsating stars, and you actually measure how fast is stuff expanding, you get a different number. They don't line up. And so this is really weird. So somehow, something's wrong, right? Either our measurements of the local universe must be wrong in some way, or this model that we're using to calculate the whole history of the universe, something is wrong with that model. So this is a very famous growing problem in cosmology. It's now what we call a 5 sigma level. So that means the chance of this being random is just like 0, essentially. It's just this is a real effect. And now we just have to figure out who's wrong. Is it the observers or is it the theorists?
Yeah, you can pause it right there.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to nerd out on those see the pattern, that guy. We showed one of his videos where he was doing a talk for the Demystify Psi at their conference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been geeking into his videos and the whole like plasma universe model.
That's right.
And I mean, there are some, granted, I'm not a cosmologist, but like from the arguments I see people put forward, there seems to be some good competition and to the Big Bang. And
it's like the was it the ether theory coming back?
Yeah. Well, in a way, because the big, I don't want to get like sidetracked on that, but there's this big experiment called the Michelson-Morley experiment, which was supposed to detect if the speed of light changes based on like what direction it's coming at us from,
right?
Based on like the speed of the rotation of the Earth and stuff.
Well, what's happening to it in whatever direction it's coming to us from, right?
Yeah,
like there might be a differentiation between where it's coming from and how fast it's moving.
Well,
to us in comparison to our position,
right? So if I can't break down the whole thing, we'll have to, we'd have to geek out for sure segment. But basically, it was a test of whether of the ether. Yeah. And because if there was an ether, then you would expect the speed of light to be slightly different based on the two directions that were measured. And that wasn't the case. Mm-hmm. And now I've heard multiple scientists like who are part of the like Lambda CDM club, the big mainstream theorists, say that's definitive proof that there is no ether. And then I've heard a whole bunch of people say that experiment was flawed for various reasons.
I see.
So, or it only tested a specific like special case rather than in general.
Like a broad brush.
Anyway, this the one part I wanted to bring up about the whole see the pattern guy, he's got a sweet YouTube channel.
Yeah, we'll have to link it.
Yeah, I'll link it. He does this explanation, this whole like history of the cosmic microwave background. In fact, it wasn't even him. It was another person doing a talk at the Demystify Psi conference.
Okay.
And his talk was a history of the cosmic microwave background, and specifically from the point in time before the measurement of the cosmic microwave background was actually made. So you can discuss the cosmic microwave background, like kind of like what he did. Like you can describe it as a temperature. It's basically the temperature of space.
Right.
And as he said, it's about 3 Kelvin. Now, before we actually made that discovery and measured it to 3 Kelvin, there were multiple people theorizing that there would be a background temperature of space.
Okay.
So people from the Lambda CDM model had their own explanation and predictions.
Right.
But their predictions were from like 5 Kelvin up to like 30, 40, 50 Kelvin. They were like pretty far off.
Wow.
But then these people from the different school that were more of the like plasma model, they made predictions that were like 2 Kelvin, 3 Kelvin, 4 Kelvin. Like they were right in line with what ended up being discovered.
Yeah. Within
but then once it was discovered, it was explained as evidence for Lambda CDM and proof of the Big Bang.
It just adjusted their model a little bit.
Yeah, even though their model was way off in predicting it, and these other guys was right on point. So,
so they're like, oh, well, actually, hold on. We're just going to tweak this and tweak that. And, it actually fits our model now that we're thinking about it.
And that was part of the talk I think we shared on the show, where See the Pattern was saying that basically the history of Lambda CDM is a history of like almost like a circular reasoning, like circular proof, where they have their model, but then they need to use their model to clean the data to then have clean data to then measure the model
against your model. Yeah,
the model is prepping the data that proves the model, which is prepping the data that proves the model,
which is clearly some sort of like, it's like a conflict of interest in a way, right? You want some sort of third party mechanism to clean it in order to have data that's not.
And it's also been constantly patched. Like it's like it's like working on the airplane while you're flying it. Like over all these years, it's got like all this duct tape and all these things added on to like make little micro adjustments. Yeah. And it's rickety and it's unstable.
Yeah.
But every time something comes like from James Webb, they're like, okay, cool. More work to do. We're excited. But what he's saying is because some grad student is going to be able to write a thesis on how they can adjust the Lambda CDM in this and that way in order to account for this data that was unanticipated.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy too because like I don't know if it was in this section we just listened to, but at some point in this interview, he acknowledges the fact that their models and their math or whatever can like pinpoint these things down to like 0.01% or whatever. But that's still a large percentage given the scales that we're talking on. Like 0.01% over the scales that we're talking on is a large amount of errors in the data. And so you're compensating for that by being able to just flexibly just change your model at a given moment because you want whatever comes in the data to fit. So you're like, oh yeah, of course, like that 0.02%, or that 0.1% or whatever, like that's, or 0.001 or whatever the percent is, we can explain that. We just had a couple of, equations wrong here and now it fits.
Yeah. But the other thing that's super I consider unscientific anyway about the Lambda CDM model is that all it has done is essentially made 95% of the universe unobservable, where most of it is dark energy, and then of all the matter, most of that is dark matter. So of the actual universe that we actually can observe and we can interact with, we can measure, that's like a tiny fraction of their model of the universe. So...
And like he even admitted there, like as we get further and further along in the technology to map and see these things at a distance and get closer and closer and more, resolution images of these things, like we're just going to learn so much more about everything.
Yeah.
But they're just going to keep stretching their model to fit it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should go on to the next thing I brought. So this is an image that was on social media recently. It's the James Webb discovered the cosmic vine, a chain of 20 galaxies stretching 13 million light years across. And so this is an image.
It's really cool.
It's really cool looking, but this is just a kind of an artist rendition of it. So if you go to the I don't know if you prepared it already.
Did you go through the rest of these, or you just wanted that top front one?
I just wanted that one mostly.
Okay.
I did go through them, but so if we go to this is the actual images from the data that they're recovering from the James Webb. So these are all these circled. If you can click in on that image and make it a little bigger, maybe. That top one there. Probably not. Anyway, it's a bunch of galaxies that are clustered together pretty closely, but it's still not like right on top of each other like that image showed.
Sure.
But they're basically described as like a cluster of galaxies, and because of their arrangement and their movement, over density is what they say. They place their trajectories and their alignments and their movements together in some sort of like cosmic chain because of the way they're arranged and how close they are to each other. But it's so fascinating still. And they credit it to dark matter holding them together with strings that are grabbing them and twisting through, basically. And so the dark matter is withholding all of this together. But still,
the plasma guys would say that there's essentially an electric current flowing through them all.
Yeah. Which I am, I'm a fan of the electric current theory and the plasma theory. I think that stuff should be given more credence, and there should be more brain power sent to those.
The more I've looked into it, the more I've found that there are, in fact, a lot more scientists in that branch than I thought there were.
Yeah.
And it's not an abandoned field. It's just, it's not part of the mainstream. It doesn't get all the big funding and stuff. Dang.
Yeah, it's all fascinating.
Breaks my brain to think of like the universe on this scale. It's really fun though.
It's so insane. It's just crazy because you look up and you see the very few amount of stars that you do see in like your city or suburb that you go out and look up at. And then you go to like the desert or the high desert somewhere like outside of LA, like down in the Mojave.
We used to go to our
Salt Lake
family's
City
cabin up in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin's beautiful. There's some places in like Northern California where you can get some like really high altitude like views of the cosmos, but when you see it and you see it next to a still lake where it's reflecting in the lake and you're sitting by the water and you're just like oh my gosh, it's awe-inspiring. It's insane.
It makes you realize how different like ancient life would have been.
Oh my god, no light pollution.
Yeah,
everywhere you go, you're just seeing this like entangled.
I mean,
and you're seeing things in the daytime,
like,
probably
inside of like city walls, and there's a bunch of torches burning, and I'm sure that might affect your night
but not to the scale
degree,
that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like the things that we are currently like. Our light pollution is horrible. Like when you go just an hour away.
The population level we did to where there was all those cities all over the place. So the amount of glow going up in the sky.
But to them, it probably was a drastic change.
Their fire is wouldn't have been as strong as like our crazy.
Yeah. I mean, even if you walk down a street with every, 10 feet having a street light with a fire burning, a lantern every 10 feet. To them, it probably would have been super noticeable, like from like sitting in going in a city and like going outside the city. Sure. Like to them, it would have been like, oh, I'm
sure there would be a difference for sure, but
still not the degree that
it's
the majority of the humans live.
Stars you can see when you're in a major urban environment.
Yeah. And how many, like, the major populations on Earth are, like, just completely unconnected and disconnected from that, seeing that.
It would have been the Netflix of its time,
Yeah. There's so much going on out there.
Yeah.
So just watching things moving and, like,
seeing how it changes subtly every day. And
yeah. I mean, even, like, 200, 300 years ago, how different now to that would be. We're not even talking about how, like, thousands of years ago. Right. Just a couple hundred years ago, the light pollution would have been so drastically different. Right. And the tales and the legends and the religions that were started based on the stars.
Yeah.
It's not that surprising to imagine. It's so fascinating, though. But yeah, this is what I brought because I just was so... was looking at the articles and everything because I just thought it was interesting.
Really cool stuff. All right, I have one thing I want to share. That should be pretty quick. It's a clip I found. I wanted to find like the source of this, but I totally forgot to before the show, so we're gonna deal with this Facebook video.
All right.
That is such a wild thing to say. That is such a fucking Orwellian thing to say. Click on that just so you can hear her say this, because it's so bananas that someone would say this out loud and not think it's...
One of the most significant differences, critical for moving from polarization to productivity, is that the Wikipedians who write these articles aren't actually focused on finding the truth.
No.
They're working for something that's a little bit more attainable, which is the best of what we can know right now. And after 7 years there, I actually believe that they're onto something. That for our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth isn't necessarily the best place to start. In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become a bit of a distraction that is preventing us from finding consensus and getting important things done.
What?
Oh my God. That's fantastic.
Damn.
That's pretty creepy, dude.
And this is on TED Talk or something?
I don't know if it's a TED Talk, but yeah, Catherine Maher, CEO of NPR, talking about Wikipedia and how Wikipedia treats the truth,
quote unquote truth,
where she says they don't really aim for the truth, they aim for
consensus,
the best we can know right now, or consensus.
Yeah.
Which is a very different thing than the truth. It is, by the way, not how the scientific method works. It does not work by consensus.
That tells you exactly all you need to know, especially when you think about all the Wikipedia pages who were shadow banned or like changed or completely like locked from changing. All these people who have been smeared.
They're outside of the consensus.
It's insane hearing that now.
Yeah, I had to share that. I found it.
That's another reason that the 90s were better, man. We had basic internet.
I don't know, dude.
We had basic internet.
Yeah, basic internet. They had a lot harder. It's hard to say, dude, because
basic internet in the 2010s. Okay, give me 15 years.
Yeah.
15 years ago, still pretty early. Like we're talking about like 10-ish years of the internet being like really like popular. Maybe 2005. I don't know.
I mean, the internet's been pretty popular.
I know, but like I mean, like
in the 2000s.
Yes, most of the 2000s.
It's been less useful, like until the age of smartphones, with iPhone came around in 2007.
Okay, so smartphones.
So
get rid of smartphones.
A year or two after that, and that's
back when everybody had to be on a PC to be on the internet.
Yes.
You had to pay to have some physical thing in your building right next to you that you can connect to the internet instead of like just a phone that you can take anywhere, something wireless.
Right.
Just take me back to that.
Or even in the early days of smartphones, because all the apps were terrible and most people didn't actually use them for internet access.
That's
you
right.
might use it
mostly
to
for
like
games and like get music.
Google Map on where you're driving.
Sure. Yeah.
But like it didn't even have GPS yet, and you still had to like
get MapQuest.
You still had to read the street names because it couldn't tell you to turn.
Yeah.
So they were limited use for the internet even after the age of smartphones for a few years.
I think we degraded after that point.
Yeah.
I think society in general has degraded because it's become all about short form, quick hit.
It's hard to say because it's a gift and a curse, right? But
of course,
the internet being where it is today allows platforms like Joe Rogan, allows... We're in a podcasting era
of course.
now.
And I do see that there is a glimmer of hope and a glimmer of light coming through the end of this, but it's kind of freaking like dark.
Yeah. So in early internet days, it might have been easier to share around like conspiracy related topics and stuff that were, fun, even if you couldn't necessarily prove they were true. But like internet could fly and none of it was censored.
Yeah.
But the impact it had was a lot smaller because very few people were seeing that stuff, right? So you could be the connected nerd with access to that stuff, but
people are going to look at you as the connected nerd who they don't believe.
Right. It was still the heyday of mainstream media news and telling everyone what to think.
That's true.
So now we're sort of in a post-mainstream media where they only have their spell over a smaller percentage of the population.
That's a good point. Yeah,
a bunch more people get...
You're pulling me out of my dark.
Yeah, a bunch of people get their information from podcasts and from other internet sources. Some of those are better than others.
Yeah.
Some people get it from TikTok. Some people will get it from Instagram or Facebook, right? And the quality varies wildly, and the bias varies wildly. Yeah. So you can't expect any two people to necessarily see eye to eye on the facts of a situation because of that. But I think that means less of us are just being toted along by the mainstream media. So
I do agree.
It's hard to say.
I will say
there's pros and cons.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that's a great point. You pulled me out of my depression there for a second. But I will say that, like, we need some sort of decentralized, like, open, fully, like a fully free market ability to, like, destroy websites like Wikipedia.
To destroy them?
Well, I mean, to like in a sense of, like, not using them. Like,
well, to outcompete them. We need other sources that are better.
Yeah, and then you get, like, we just need... Well, I think that we're going that direction is what I mean. Like, I think we're going that direction, but I think it's going to be... There's too much potential for hijacking of this.
Well, it's all about how lazy you are, right? It's all about how much work are you willing to do to seek the truth, right?
Right.
Because if the amount of work you're willing to do is to go only to 2 or 3 websites that 90% of people who've ever used the internet know about and that most people go to, if you're only going to go to Wikipedia, if you're only going to go to, like, certain sources and check those things on whether something is true or to learn, then you're going to be you are putting yourself
in a bubble. Yeah.
So if you are willing to do harder research, go outside of those sources, go into more sketchy areas where you can't just trust that everything is true.
Right.
Find some tidbits of information and then do some detective work with that to check the basics.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the problem.
It's harder. You can't be lazy and do that. You can't just have your
one source
worldview spoon-fed to you to do.
That's the problem, though. It's so easily done, right? It's so easily done now with social media and all these, like, phone apps that are just going to give you, like, the news of the day that's, like, brought to you, like, by Apple and
there's, like, a few few gigantic pools on the internet that most people spend most of the time. It's YouTube, it's Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and
TikTok now.
And
those are controlled.
That's most people's internet experience as a whole, right?
Yeah.
Like, how many people actually browse websites these days? Not a lot of people.
Right, and we know from Edward Snowden that there is a backdoor in all of these systems. Yeah. Like, the entirety of the internet probably has a backdoor. Like, no matter what you do, as long as you're connected to the internet on these few, like, strings of the internet outside of, like, the dark web or, like, the, certain, like, military or, like, government, browsers or whatever, like, it's all being fed through a few strings.
Yeah, NSA knows everything.
Yeah, like, everything you search, everything you look at, everything you've ever, like, they have the capacity.
They know where you work. They know where your gym is. They know how long you work out. They know where your favorite place is to eat. They know what route you drive and when and why you would go this route versus that route. Like, all of that can be profiled.
And now that we have AI, they can be profiled in a way to, like, do it without a human being having to spend countless hours putting all those things together.
Yeah.
So now we're getting to a point where those things can happen instantaneously.
You're working your way back into the depression.
I know.
Yeah, it's dark. And it kind of reminds me of that Captain America 2 Winter Soldier, where they launch those helicarriers that have all these crazy guns on the bottom of them, and they can feed this algorithm to predict who will be a problem for their rule and then just shoot people down from the sky.
Yep.
And that's that sort of profiling
is possible.
Dangerous stuff can be done with it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I mean, usually I'm pretty happy-go-lucky guy, but like when I start talking about this stuff, it gets me like, oh god.
Yeah, we've got some conspiracy rabbit holes to go down that we haven't done on the show yet. So
yeah, we'll have to do those.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break and we'll come back and we'll dive into the alien interview.
All right.
All right.
See you guys
in a little bit.
Welcome back.
All right.
That was Stevie Nader, and the song's called Leave With It from 333.
Hope you all enjoyed. So we're back. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get into...
So this is new to all of us now.
Alien
Hopefully
interview.
It doesn't suck. Chapter 11. A Lesson in Science. Matilda O'Donnell McElroy personal note. The transcript of this interview is verbatim. There is nothing more I can add to it. It says everything.
Okay.
Official transcript of interview. Top secret. Official transcript of the U.S. Army Air Force, Roswell Army Airfield, 509th Bomb Group. Subject, alien interview. 29th of July, 1947. I feel like a few of these interviews were all just within a couple days here.
Yeah, they must have only had a few, like a week or something, maybe.
I think she said it was over the span of like 6 weeks that they did all this.
Okay.
Today, Airl told me about some very technical things. I took a few notes to remind myself so I can repeat what she said as closely as possible. She began with an analogy about scientific knowledge. Can you imagine how much progress could have been made on Earth if people like Johannes Gutenberg, Sir Isaac Newton, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington Carver, Nikola Tesla, Richard Trevithick, Jonas Salk, and many thousands of similar geniuses and inventors were living today? Imagine what technical accomplishments might have been developed if men like these never died. What if they were never given amnesia and made to forget everything they knew? What if they continued to learn and work forever?
Imagine.
What level of technology and civilization could be attained if immortal spiritual beings like these were allowed to continue to create in the same place and at the same time for billions or trillions of years? Essentially, the domain is one civilization that has existed for trillions of years with relatively uninterrupted progress. Knowledge has been accumulated, refined, and improved upon in nearly every field of study imaginable and beyond imagining. Originally, the interaction of IS-BEs, illusions, or inventions created the very fabric of the physical universe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a cool statement. The microcosm of the macrocosm. Every single particle of the universe has been imagined and brought into existence by an IS-BE. Everything created from an idea, a thought with no weight or size or location in space. Every speck of dust in space, from the size of the tiniest subatomic particle to the size of the sun or a Magellantic cloud the size of many galaxies, was created from nothingness of a thought.
So, simulation theory.
Even the tiniest individual cells were contrived and coordinated to enable a microbial entity to sense and navigate through infinitesimally small spaces. These also came from an idea thought up by an IS-BE. This is cool.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
This gives me like simulation theory vibes and also like panpsychism vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this idea that everything was created by thought. And I like that she goes back to the origin of the entire universe for that too. Yeah, that the entire universe was thought into.
Like the whole the entirety of the physical universe. But it doesn't sound like one individual thought all these things up.
No.
But like the majority, the group, the consensus, the ability for like certain groups of some groups of IS-BEs get together and create the rules for a given space.
Right.
And then, all the different spaces have different rules potentially, but also are
and then
created.
Recruit other IS-BEs into
to do other things for them. Yeah. It's like for me, it reminds me of like game studios, and like that create games. Like they create these worlds that are from thought, but they have different specialists,
right? And they require teams of people
who have different talents,
engage in that vision.
Yeah, they have
bring that thought to fruition.
You have people who are really good with textures, and you have really good people who are really good with networking and like servers. And
that begs the question. There's like there's so many games out there. are there lots of versions of universes based on different groups of IS-BEs getting together and putting different thoughts into action, into creation?
That's what I'm imagining, at least so far.
All right.
Yeah.
You and every IS-BE on Earth have participated in the creation of this universe. Even though you are now confined to a fragile body made of flesh, you live for only 65 short rotations of your planet around a star. You have been given overwhelming electric shock treatments to wipe out your memory. You must learn everything all over again each lifetime. In spite of all these circumstances, you are who you are and will always be. And deep down, you still know that you are what you know, or that you are and what you know. You are still the essence of you. How else can one understand the child prodigy? An IS-BE who plays concertos on a piano at 3 years of age without formal training. Impossible if they did not simply remember what they have already learned from thousands of lives spent in front of a keyboard in times untold or on planets far away. They may not know how they know. They just know. That's a really interesting explanation for child prodigies.
Yeah, it's like psi ability.
Yeah. And
it's tapping into something that other people are just not naturally tapped into.
Yeah, and if this sort of cosmology that she's building for us isn't outside of your ability to accept, it's a pretty clean explanation for those types of crazy abilities that people are born with.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or seem to be born with. Humankind has developed more technology in the past 100 years than in the previous 2,000 years. Why? The answer is simple. The influence of the old empire over the mind and affairs of mankind has been diminished by the domain. A renaissance of invention on Earth began in 1250 AD with the destruction of the old empire space fleet in the solar system. During the next 500 years, Earth may have the potential to regain autonomy and independence, but only to the degree that humankind can apply the concentrated genius of the IS-BEs on Earth to solve the amnesia problem. So we have to solve it.
Right.
However, on a cautionary note, the inventive potential of the IS-BEs who have been exiled to this planet is severely compromised by the criminal elements of Earth population. Specifically, politicians, warmongers, and irresponsible physicists who create unlimited weapons such as nuclear bombs, chemicals, diseases, and social chaos. These have the potential to extinguish all life forms on Earth forever. Even the relatively... Is that a solution to the IS-BE problem here? The prison planet problem?
Well, I think what they're saying is the majority of the people on Earth are working towards the solution, but there is a small minority who holds the power and holds the rest of us in...
Well, and holds the violence, yeah.
Holds the violence towards others against us, so that it makes it hard to rise up as a mass. Like if the entire population of people who are actually wanting to see things change and to grow were to grow and just stand up and say, no, hell no, we're just going to fight you to the end and take out this population of violent, politicians and, warmongers. And they're saying, if we were to take out that small population, then maybe we'd have a chance to naturally grow into what it is that... Right.
But at the end, she was talking about that it has the potential to extinguish all life forms on Earth forever.
Well, I think she's talking about that small group.
Sure. But what I'm just maybe this is me being like facetious or flippant or whatever, but like, would that be a solution to the prison planet problem?
Well, I think it would be a solution
if there was
having to reset everybody.
Yeah, if there was no more life forms on the planet to reincarnate into, would you be saved from the trap as a spiritual being?
Well, yeah, no, that's a good point. I think the thing is like they're holding that over our heads, though. Like we're at the point now where we have the biggest threat to humanity hanging over us, which is nuclear annihilation. At least seemingly that's the only threat that we are aware of at this point, other than like pandemics, like widespread worldwide pandemics or something, right?
Sure.
But they have that in their pocket and they're holding it over us as if it's to say we are the only reason we're not just annihilating everybody. And we all know the rich, or at least a certain percentage of them have bunkers and they have places to go to survive a Holocaust, to survive some sort of nuclear threat. Like the human population might just have to go into a big reset again, where they just say, hey, you know what? They're gonna, it's getting to a point where we gotta do it again.
Would we? I'm just trying to think though, like, if there's no more life forms here, like let's say something happened and like just completely sterilize Earth. There's not even bacteria anymore.
Right.
Then when you die, would their technology, is it wiping the memory of your spirit before it incarnates?
Or is it wiping
does it rely on the incarnation to limit your memory?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Like, how would that affect, if this prison system exists, like how would not having something to incarnate into affect the prison system?
It probably would be counterfactual. Like it's mostly the fear that keeps us from getting to that point. Like you get to a point where like you just have to use fear to control the population. Like it's all just like not that they wouldn't do it.
Like ghost civilization that's still trapped on Earth. Like, are we still confined here as spirits?
Yeah, that's a good point. Is the technology actually working on our spirits, or is it working on our incarnation, like the physical incarnation?
Yeah,
and like not making it possible for those memories of previous lives to come through each incarnation, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would be curious to know.
All right. Hit us with a chapter.
Yep.
Even the relatively small explosions that were tested and used in the past 2 years on Earth have the potential to destroy all of life. If deployed in sufficient quantities, larger weapons could consume all of the oxygen in the global atmosphere in a single explosion.
That's if they were to all go off at the same time, right?
They're saying there's larger ones that maybe we haven't even tested that maybe could.
Jeez.
Therefore, the most fundamental problems that must be solved in order to ensure that Earth will not be destroyed by technology are social and humanitarian problems. The greatest scientific minds of Earth, in spite of mathematical or mechanical genius, have never addressed these problems. Therefore, do not look to scientists to save Earth or the future of humanity. Any so-called science that is solely based on the paradigm that existence is composed only of energy and objects moving through space is not a science. Such beings utterly ignore the creative spark originated by an individual IS-BE and collective work of IS-BEs who continually create the physical universe and all universes. Every science will remain relatively ineffective or destructive to the degree that it omits or devalues the relative importance of the spiritual spark that ignites all of the creation and life. So to the degree that a science ignores spirituality, the science is dangerous and useless and wrong.
Yeah, especially because, it gets to a point where there's like a critical mass. Okay.
Unfortunately, this ignorance has been very carefully and forcefully instilled in human beings by the old empire to ensure that IS-BEs on this planet would not be able to recover their innate ability to create space, energy, matter, and time, or any other component part of universes. As long as awareness of the immortal, powerful, spiritual self is ignored, humanity will remain imprisoned until the day of its own self-destruction and oblivion.
Yeah, so it makes it sound like this 65-year average of like human life is nowhere near long enough to like have like full, like to start to like become what it is an IS-BE is and do the things that an IS-BE can do. So maybe there's something to do with time that is part of the prison construction that like because we're only allowed to be here for such amount of time that we don't discover our true power and ability to determine our reality.
Now, I think she said in the last chapter that human-like life forms on other planets live like twice as long.
Yeah.
So part of the design of this prison planet is to reduce our lifespans, and maybe that's what like scientists are discovering with like the amount of telomeres that exist at the end of your like chromosomes or whatever.
Right. And like there's just a switch that's like turned off.
Yeah, but I think the main point here is that we just have this materialism stuck in us, and she's saying that it was implanted into us on purpose to keep us.
It kind of keeps us in the cycle.
Off the track, yeah.
Keeps us in a cycle of, use and throw away and repeat. Like our bodies, use, throw it away, repeat.
Right, but I mean, there are glimmers of hope in science. You got what's her name? Who's the lady? Dr. Diana
Pasulka?
No, not Pasulka. I think the one from the telepathy tapes.
Oh, yeah.
Powell. Was it Powell?
Diana Powell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diana Pasulka. There are a number of people in the sciences, in philosophy, in academia that are open.
Yeah, there's a number of them. It's more of like how many people are truly listening and like taking what they're saying into account. It's more a matter of
how effective are the like censorship and thought making institutions that tell us which of these intellectuals we are to listen to and what is the
proper
consensus.
Channel. Yep. There it is again.
That we are to adhere to, right? Like it's more a matter of like is that power that creates that more powerful than the sort of independent search for knowledge that the rogue academics and people like us are involved in,
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be a threshold where we're getting close to, because I feel like there is a slow burn, slow change going on in the consciousness of humans. Like generally, like the people you talk to on a day-to-day basis even like are more open to these ideas than previous decades.
Right.
So I think we're getting to a point where there may be, and maybe there is some sort of like singularity, some single points, some threshold that we got to get to before like the tipping point where it just all is downhill from now, where we don't have to explain as much to people and they start to just get it on their own.
I feel like the seeds have been planted in these areas enough all over that if the right type of thing, the right type of world event were to happen,
to like really
could like solidify all these topics together.
Yeah, I agree.
And change worldview overnight type of thing for those with eyes to see, right?
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I think we're getting somewhere near there in the next, 5 decades, 50 years or something.
Or maybe that's the whole thing with the lady next year.
Maybe that's Chris the 2026, Easter 2026.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll keep going on the alien interview. See y'all soon.
Personality, given the way things are going, it would be a given if it didn't stop unraveling. Well, I have pity thoughts for believing. Well, hell, I pity thoughts of my own. It wouldn't be a given if it were given to me, but those are faults of my own. Well, I always wanted to speak so smoothly, like I was born with a tongue of glass, but I gave away the language given to me. Now it's just a story of my past. I heard of only men to admit to their fails, but sadly enough, I'm nothing but a boy with a soul for sale. Well, I never think to stick my toes into cold water, 'cause I imagine those depths to swallow me whole. And I always listen to the lessons from my father, but I fail to make his morals my own. 'Cause I never thought to be scared of anything but everything. Well, now it scares the shit out of me. 'Cause I always wanted to be the one who was strong-headed, but I realize my strongholds are weak. Well, I would be a man to admit to my fails. Well, sadly enough, I'm nothing but a boy with a soul for sale.
Welcome back. That was TJ McNulty, Soul for Sale.
Hope y'all enjoyed that. We're back for another segment here. Let's jump right in.
All right. Do not rely on the dogma of physical sciences to master the fundamental forces of creation any more than you would trust the chanted incantations of an incense-burning shaman. The net result of both of these is entrapment and oblivion. Scientists pretend to observe, but they only suppose that they see and call it fact. Like the blind man, a scientist cannot learn to see until he realizes that he is blind.
Yeah.
The facts of earth science do not include the source of creation. They include only the result or byproducts of creation. The facts of science do not include any memory of the nearly infinite past experience of existence.
That kind of reminds me of like what we were talking about with the James Webb, like right in the beginning. And like this idea, like science is ever changing, like this dogma that we are all like somewhat in whatever way you may be in your, path in life, like we all ascribe to the dogma of science.
Yeah, I mean, it affects our worldviews.
Completely. And like the sciences and the technologies that are out in our face that we're interfacing with on a daily basis, like these sciences are backing all of those things and all the systems in which we guide our lives by.
Right.
All the textbooks that are being taught in schools right now are guided by the same thing.
Yeah, It's an interesting point that the facts are only the facts from after the creation, right? And so they're of limited knowledge.
Right.
And, honest physicists and cosmologists will admit that.
Right.
That all we could ever hope to do is trace back to, if the Big Bang is real, their lambda CDM model. All we could ever hope to do is trace back to that, but you could never trace back before that.
Right.
You could never.
You're limiting yourself right in
motion.
Yeah, you're limiting yourself in the fact that there is something specific that you're trying to achieve.
I mean, if that is the fact of existence, then it is, right? But like,
can you verify that?
No, but that's all you could expect to do with science from within a universe.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
You couldn't prove what's going on outside of that.
Right. You cannot prove what set anything in motion.
Right.
All you can do is prove that it was set in motion.
Right. So like it's almost like the goal of science is to push God out of the universe all the way back into the origin, and then from there they can say nothing more.
You can't say anything more, exactly. Yeah.
So if you're a scientist and your goal is to kill God by explaining everything, you can't, because even if with your lambda CDM model, if you could prove the Big Bang, you could never prove what set it in motion.
Right. Exactly. All right. Keep going.
The essence of creation and existence cannot be found through the lens of a microscope or telescope, or by any other measurement of the physical universe. One cannot comprehend the perfume of a flower or the pain felt by an abandoned lover with meters or calipers. Yeah, you can't quantify the subjective, is what she's saying.
Okay.
Everything you will ever know about the creative force and ability of a God can be found within you, an immortal spiritual being. How can a blind man teach others to see the nearly infinite gradients that comprise the spectrum of light? The notion that one can understand the universe without understanding the nature of an IS-BE is as absurd as conceiving that an artist is a spark of paint on his own canvas, or that the lace on a ballet shoe is the choreographer's vision, or the grace of a dancer, or the electric excitement of opening night.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah. So, like, the crescendo of any experience can never be the explanation, or, like, is not the explanation of the experience of it.
Right, right. I love this metaphor of saying that the artist is the speck of paint on their own canvas, right? Like you can't, right. The domain of science is to observe and measure the phenomenology of the objective world, right? But one can never separate oneself from the fact that you are still
subject to
some sort of entity that is looking out of your eye holes. And when you eat a chocolate chip cookie, that taste, that undescribable taste of your grandmother's baking is not the same as describing the chemical components that make up that cookie. No description of the chemical components of a chocolate chip cookie can give you the feeling of your grandma's cooking, right? Yeah,
it's like trying to solve the problem when you are the problem, right? It's like the whole idea of like the circular, physics like you had mentioned earlier.
Right.
It's you are part of the physical world, so trying to explain the physical world as being part of the physical world is never going to do it justice.
Well, if you confine yourself to tools that are by definition confined to the physical world, like science does, right? But what she's saying is that we're not. Like we are more than being confined
but
to
we're
the physical
constricted
world. But we are artificially constricting ourselves with how we do science.
Right. Well, based on our knowledge, right? So like if there was ever a veil lifted from our knowledge, then maybe we would be able to see the world from a different perspective.
But how many people are working on turning science, like doing the science of the subjective, right? Like
very few.
There are some,
the psi abilities are kind of the
or I'm thinking like Andrew Gallimore with like DMT, like
exactly.
How many people are actually trying to catalog and map the deeply subjective experiences of life,
not so many.
Everything you will ever know about the creative force and ability of a God can be found within you, an immortal spiritual being. I already did that one. Study of the spirit has been booby-trapped by the thought control operation through religious superstitions they instill in the minds of men. Conversely, the study of the spirit and the mind have been prohibited by science, which eliminates anything that is not measurable in the physical universe. Science is the religion of matter. It worships matter. Mm-hmm. The paradigm of science is that creation is all, and the creator is nothing. Religion says the creator is all, and the creation is nothing. These two extremes are all the bars of a prison cell. They prevent observation of all phenomena as an interactive whole.
Yeah. We need some really good theories of everything then.
Dude, there's some freaking...
You know what I just noticed is you're wearing an American Alchemy shirt.
Yeah, bro.
Did you just get that?
I've had it for about a few weeks now. I've worn it on the show once.
Did you? Oh my God, I didn't even notice. I just noticed just now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's Jesse Michael's YouTube channel, American Alchemy.
I don't know if it'll come through in the video, but I'm house sitting for our sister, and I went over, and the first thing I did was like hug the dog, and I was like, oh, so much dirt.
Okay, no, it's not going to come through on the camera for sure, but that's a good shirt.
Yeah, it's great. There's some really good little quotables in here.
Okay.
What was it? Yeah. That science says that creation is all and the creator is nothing. Religion says the creator is all and the creation is nothing. Ooh. And that these two extremes are the bars of a prison cell. That's damn. I was going to say that's bars, but literally.
Pun intended. Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Study of creation without knowing the IS-BE, the source of creation, is futile. When you sail to the edge of the universe conceived by science, you fall off the end into the abyss of dark, dispassionate space and lifeless, unrelenting force. On Earth, you have been convinced that the oceans of mind and spirit are filled with gruesome, ghoulish monsters that will eat you alive if you dare to venture beyond the breakwater of superstition. So, yeah, they're just saying, like, we've confined ourselves to, like, what we're allowed to think about.
Yeah, and the edge is, like, far inland from superstition even.
Yeah. Like, if you're within the scientific paradigm, as soon as you start to flirt with the woo,
yeah,
like, you're in dangerous waters.
Yeah.
And I feel that, and that's part of what, like, this podcast has been to fight against, right?
Exactly.
The vested interest of the old empire prison system is to prevent you from looking at your own soul. They fear that you will see in your own memory the slave masters who keep you imprisoned. The prison is made of shadows in your mind. The shadows are made of lies and pain and loss and fear. The true geniuses of civilization are those IS-BEs who will enable other IS-BEs to recover their memory and regain self-realization and self-determination. This issue is not solved through enforcing moral regulation on behavior or through the control of beings through mystery, faith, drugs, guns, or any other dogma of a slave society, and certainly not through the use of electric shock and hypnotic commands.
So something different. It's endogenous, maybe.
Yeah. The survival of Earth and every being on it depends on the ability to recover the memory of skills you have accrued through the trilenia. I like that word, trilenia.
That's trillions of years, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To recover the essence of yourself. Such an art, science, or technology has never been conceived in the old empire. Otherwise, they would not have resorted to the solution that brought you to your current condition on Earth. Neither has such technology ever been developed by the domain until recently. The necessity of rehabilitating an IS-BE with amnesia has not been needed. Therefore, no one has ever worked on solving this problem. So far, unfortunately, the domain has no solution to offer. A few officers of the Domain Expeditionary Force have taken it upon themselves to provide technology to Earth during their off-duty time. These officers leave their doll at the space station and, as an IS-BE, assume or take over a biological body on Earth. In some cases, an officer can remain on duty while they inhabit and control other bodies at the same time.
Like that one guy we talked about the other last episode with that airplane incident.
Oh, right.
Where he was taken over by a...
or like Bashar or something.
Bashar, yeah. But like that, imagine like some off-duty
By the way,
IS-BE.
Area 52 did a whole episode like going deeper into that.
Really?
Yeah.
When?
Just this last
Just
week.
recently?
Yeah, just this last week.
Well, because the clip came out recently, so yeah, they must have dived into... Oh, I'm excited. I'm going to have to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go listen to that.
Give me a link, promise. I'll
yeah, we'll have to link that.
This is a very dangerous and adventurous undertaking. It requires a very able IS-BE to accomplish such a mission and return to base successfully. One officer who did this recently while continuing to attend to his official duties was known on Earth as the electronics inventor Nikola Tesla.
He was one of the leader IS-BEs?
Yeah, he was one of the expeditionary force.
He was one of the ones that got left behind.
No, one of the ones that would come down here
to
inhabit a body and give us technology while still on duty with them.
No way. That's why he had all these inventions.
Mm-hmm. It is my intention, although it is not part of my mission orders, to assist you in your efforts to advance scientific and humanitarian progress on Earth. My intention is to help other IS-BEs to help themselves. In order to solve the amnesia problem on Earth, you will need to much more advanced technology, as well as social stability to allow enough time for research and development of techniques to free the IS-BEs from the body and to free the mind of the IS-BEs from amnesia. Although the domain has a long-term interest in maintaining Earth as a useful planet, it has no particular interest in the human population of Earth, other than its own personnel here. We are not interested in preventing destruction, we are interested in preventing destruction, as well as accelerating the development of technologies that will sustain the infrastructures of the global biosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. To this end, you will discover on very careful and thorough examination that my spacecraft contains a wide assortment of technology that does not yet exist on Earth.
Okay.
If you distribute pieces of this craft to various scientists for study, they will be able to reverse engineer some of the technology to the extent that Earth has the raw materials required to replicate these components.
Okay.
Some features will be indecipherable. Other features cannot be duplicated, as Earth does not have the natural resources required to replicate them. Element 115.
Mm-hmm.
This is especially true of the metals used to construct the craft. Not only do these metals not exist on Earth, the refining process required to produce these metals took billions of years to develop. It is also true of the navigation system, which requires an IS-BE whose own personal wavelength has been specifically attuned to the neural network of the craft. The pilot of the craft must possess a very high order of energy, volition, discipline, training, and intelligence to manipulate such a craft. IS-BEs on Earth are incapable of this expertise because it requires the use of an artificial body specifically created for this purpose.
So a doll body.
Yeah, so the doll body has built within it the ability to commune with the spacecraft, apparently.
Right. So Superman.
Yeah, it's a great analogy. So yeah, like now we're getting into the reverse engineering stuff, and I have to say also Danny Jones did just a recent interview with UAP Curb.
Oh yeah, I watched part of that. I watched some clips of that.
It's really good. Certain individual Earth scientists, some of whom are amongst the most brilliant minds in history of the universe, will have their memory of this technology jogged when they examine the craft components.
Mm.
So by doing reverse engineering and spreading it around and putting it in front of the right people, some people will have their memory jogged by just being
exposed to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just as some of the scientists and physicists on Earth have been able to remember how to recreate electric generators, internal combustion, and steam locomotion, refrigeration, aircraft, antibiotics, and other tools of your civilization. They will also rediscover other vital technology in my craft.
So it sounds like the exposure to the craft jogs a memory, so you don't have to so depending on your ability to perceive whatever that experience may determine your level of remembrance, right? So a Travis Walton who just remembers the experience itself and has this kind of transcendent experience where he sees the world and the woes of the world differently, And then you got like inventors and other minds who see the technology and they think of, oh, I can use this for this and I can create a product that makes the lives better of all these people. So like depending on your tuning Well,
I think it's specifically the types of inventors who somehow, you hear people, and it's in everything, not just in science, who are like struck ideas by the news or like struck by an idea. It's not that you come up with an idea, right. So that an idea strikes you. It hits you. It comes into you.
Yeah. Which is very recurrent in a lot of these these people, these inventors, these philosophers.
And it's not just inventions; it's the arts,
philosophers
too, right?
and artists.
I've even explained it's the flow state, right?
Exactly.
If you have,
it's some sort of tapping into this other realm where you've almost meditated and you're in a state where your consciousness is compatible with other ideas.
Well, I think it comes from getting your competence in a domain up to such a level. That you don't need conscious processing to do the task, right? And then you start doing the task, and because you don't need the conscious processing,
your brain is free.
The conscious off, and allow yourself to just do it. And in such a state,
your consciousness is tapping into
other sources that are connecting to you and guiding you on that journey.
It's like once you get to that point, your consciousness can now focus on the underlying reason or structure of what it is that you're even doing.
So the subconscious is doing that.
Your subconscious is now performing what the consciousness was performing.
Right.
But now your consciousness is able to grab and focus on some other aspect of what the subconscious is now doing.
I think... Well, from my experience, so I've had it in breaking. I've gotten to a true flow state in breaking before, where I'm dancing, I'm hitting the beats, and then all of a sudden, my mind shuts off, and now I feel the music is coming through me, and I feel myself riding the wave of music rather than deciding what I'm going to do. I'm not thinking ahead of what I'm going to do. I have no idea what I'm going to do in the next second. It's going to come out of me.
Yeah.
So the role my consciousness takes in that form is more just watching myself.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, the subconscious is driving and the conscious stops driving and starts just observing and enjoying.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to do all the things. It can just enjoy the process.
But in so doing, right, you're analyzing what your consciousness had to spend all of its power just doing before.
Right.
So now your consciousness is free to analyze what your subconscious is now able to do freely without you having to consciously think about it.
I feel like that sort of analysis thing maybe comes after. I don't think I realized I was in it while I was in it.
No, maybe, and that's what, right? And that's why you get
I wasn't
Tesla
thinking about being in it while I was in it. I was just fully in the moment.
But when you think back on it, you have more awareness of what you were thinking about in that moment,
right?
Because of the fact that you no longer had to spend your focus on the actual actions you were performing.
Right.
So you get to a point where sure, it might be retroactive. You might have to look back on it, but that's what you hear, right? That's what you hear somebody's in the flow state and they do all these amazing things and they don't know what they're doing in the moment. It's just happening. It's when they reflect on it or when they're interviewed about that moment that they are able to oh, you know what? They're almost just now realizing that they weren't doing it consciously.
Yeah.
It was a subconscious action that they were able to more openly I guess validate or put into words what it is that they were doing. Because a lot of times, until you get to that point, you're not really considered a true master of whatever you might be doing, right? It's when you get to that flow state and you've conquered, having to think about it too much, that you are now a master of the thing. You don't have to think about it anymore. You're doing it, and then you can analyze it, and then you can tweak it and manipulate it. You can
still turn the analysis back on afterwards, and you can still have your analytical moment to expand your skill set. But
that wasn't allowed.
That's an interesting definition of mastery, like being able to achieve flow state in a domain.
In whatever it might be, yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna chew on that because I think that's as good of a definition as you can get.
Yeah, I mean, I think it frees your mind up to like think about the nuances of the things that you're doing.
Yeah,
and like, why are you doing it? But it is like it's something that's happening in the moment, but you don't think about it or you realize what it is that you were doing in that moment until afterwards.
Right.
And it's usually sparked by a question or like, dude, you are freaking killing it out there. Like, what were you thinking about? Oh, actually, I wasn't really thinking about anything.
Yeah.
But then you like start to realize what it is that was actually going on. You were feeling the flow of the music. You were feeling the different beats hitting your soul at a different frequency, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I think maybe those are the types of scientists that she's talking about in here, you know?
Okay.
The ones who've achieved the flow state mastery. Yeah. The following are the specific systems embodied in my craft that contain useful components. 1. There is an assortment of microscopic wiring or fibers within the walls of the craft that control such things as communications, information storage, computer function, and automatic navigation. So
sounds
fiber
like
optics.
Sounds like our nervous system too.
Yeah. 2. The same wiring is used for light, sublight, and ultralight spectrum detection and vision. Yeah, so the same fibers that compose the shell are not only like the fiber optic wirings that send all the communications and to the computers, but they're also open to space and taking in the light from outside.
Yeah, they're sensors. Everything about it is a sensor. Interesting.
The fabrics of the interior of the craft are far superior to any on Earth and at this time and have hundreds of thousands of applications.
Yeah, I mean, smart fabrics. That'd be interesting.
Well, people say we got Velcro from...
Yeah. Well, I mean, even think about like... Imagine
Teflon.
Having like a...
Teflon is one of the things that people have claimed came from the reverse engineering.
Interesting. Okay.
Number 4, you will also find mechanisms for creating, amplifying, and channeling light particles or waves as a form of energy. Light-based energy. That's interesting. As an officer, pilot, and engineer of the domain forces, I am not at liberty to discuss or convey the detailed operation or construction of the craft in any way other than what I have just disclosed. However, I am confident that there are many competent engineers on Earth who will develop useful technology with these resources. I am providing these details to you in the hope that the greater good of the domain will be served.
Wow. Is that the end of the chapter?
It is.
All right, well, I think that might be a good time then. We're about an hour, 35 minutes in.
Yeah, this next one's really short.
How short are we talking?
Literally like 2 pages.
Okay. Well, let's take a break then.
Yeah, let's take a break.
Let's take a break and we'll come back and finish this short chapter.
Right.
What's the name of this chapter?
A lesson in immortality.
Ooh, yeah, okay. We got to finish on that for sure. All right. Yeah, I don't want to have to come back to a whole new episode to do that. Cool. All right. We'll see y'all in a few minutes then. We're going to take a short break.
All right. We'll be right back.
Yo. Good morning. Yeah. I'm fine, how are you? It's a beautiful day. Yo. Last night I fell in love again. Something must have happened in between now and then. Since the last time we spent life laughing over red wine, staring at the blue skies, wonder when we'll expire. Will there be enough time to make amends with our past lives? Timeless in her eyes, so I stare till I'm blinded in her iris. Atlantis creeps to the surface, still water runs deep as the earth twists. But I keep strolling like a rolling stone. Pops was always gone, he was searching for a new home. Roaming, landed in the stolen land back in 95. Never looked back till I realized who I really am. Divided by the oceans, but my love keeps growing. Idolize the moment cause the clock keeps going. Knowing no one will understand your journey as a man, cause God made a plan for you, nobody else. Truth, universe seeking wisdom through the silence of the lamb. Sacrifice my own being for a scam. Working for the man, trade a stage for a cube. My mic for a keyboard and a desk for the booth. Never will again, cause it all makes sense now. Said that one day that it will, or it might. I guess that you could say last night I fell in love again. Yeah. And something must have happened, I imagine. Dragons when I breathe, spit fire till you freeze. Spit bars till I'm free from freedom in a free form. Live till I'm reborn, searching so I read more pages. Burn as I write, scriptures in the light. Waiting for the right moment to strike. Before midnight passes, pay my homage to the tribe. On a quest to survive right before the love dies. I guess last night you could say I fell in love again. Somehow, story never seems to end, but it all makes sense now. They said that one day that it would, I just never really understood.
Welcome back.
Ooh, a little twang at the end.
Yeah. That was M.Born. The song's called Last Night.
Last night. All right, y'all. Let's do this little couple page chapter here and to finish us off here.
A lesson in immortality.
All right, let's go.
Matilda O'Donnell McElroy, personal note. I think the following transcript is pretty much self-explanatory. Official transcript of interview, top secret. Official transcript of the U.S. Army Air Force, Roswell Army Airfield. 509th Bomb Group. Subject, alien interview. 30th of July, 1947.
So 1 day later from the previous chapter.
Yep. I gotta burp this beer. All right. Immortal spiritual beings, which I refer to as IS-BEs for the sake of convenience, are the source and creators of illusions. Each one individually and collectively in their original unfettered state of being are an eternal, all-powerful, all-knowing entity.
I just realized that immortal spiritual beings also spells out IS-BE.
Yep.
Instead of also like as like you are, I is because I want to be.
Right.
Like IS-BE is kind of like It's like a double
entendre.
Yeah, a double entendre.
IS-BEs create space by imagining a location. The intervening distance between themselves and the imagined location is what we call space. An IS-BE can perceive the space and objects created by other IS-BEs. IS-BEs are not physical universe entities. They are a source of energy and illusion. IS-BEs are not located in space or time, but can create space, place particles in space, create energy, and shape particles into various forms, cause the motion of forms, and animate forms. Any form that is animated by an IS-BE is called life.
Any form.
Yeah.
That is animated by an IS-BE is called life. Okay.
Does that mean like the Earth going around the sun is life?
Can be an IS-BE.
No, is life.
Yeah. Or any form, right? So
yeah.
Any molecular structure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which we talked about before.
That's a
like
greatly
we talked about the
expanded definition of life.
Yeah. That's a panpsychism idea of life.
It very much is.
Yeah.
An IS-BE can decide to agree that they are located in space or time, and that they themselves are an object or any other manner of illusion created by themselves or another or other IS-BEs. So you're outside of space and time, but as an IS-BE, your power as an IS-BE, you can make yourself an object within space-time.
Yeah, and it seems like you can break out of that still. Like there are moments like of being outside of that are part of your existence, but any
like
physical
between lives.
But any physical iteration of
maybe
yourself.
Dreaming.
So like as an IS-BE, right? So like if you're an IS-BE who's imprisoned, all of your physical incarnations on this world or in any world are going to be the prison in which you were set up to be in. So you can still be an IS-BE, but you can't have full reign on how you manifest life. It's like constrained in some way, maybe.
Right. Because you can become an object or an illusion created by yourself or another IS-BE, right? So maybe by becoming a human body, you are becoming a creation of another IS-BE, and therefore there are rules to that creation that maybe bind you in certain ways.
The video game theory, like you are inhabiting an avatar created by somebody else.
Yeah.
So whenever you inhabit that body, you are set by a certain standard and rules that are going to guide that life no matter what.
Yeah.
And if you're imprisoned, there's maybe there may be constraints on what you can incarnate into. And if there is some like essence of being an IS-BE that is to incarnate, to learn lessons, to further your soul journey, if you're imprisoned, your lessons to be learned are only had on this prison.
Right.
So it almost seems like the frequency,
the choices that you have between lives. Right?
Yeah. So like the frequency in which you're able to tune your consciousness into a physical body is the prison itself. Yeah. Which we've caught glimpses of before in the rest of this, but
right. The disadvantage of creating an illusion is that an illusion must be continually created. If not continually created, it disappears. Continual creation of an illusion requires incessant attention to every detail of the illusion in order to sustain it.
It sounds like companies.
Sounds like there's a bunch of IS-BEs who have signed up to be the machine elves who are creating our reality.
It's exactly. It sounds like a development company who has been designated to create the game, and it's as a user of that game, you don't have any say in how the game is created.
Right.
All you have is the ability to change
the definition of being in the game is that you are subjecting yourself to someone else's creation for the most part.
Yeah. All you can change is your outlook on the game and the way you interact and with it. Yeah.
A common denominator of IS-BEs seems to be the desire to avoid boredom. A spirit only, without interaction with other IS-BEs, and the unpredictable motion, drama, and unanticipated intentions and illusions being created by other IS-BEs is easily bored. What if you could imagine anything, perceive everything, and cause anything to happen at will? What if you couldn't do anything else? What if you always knew the outcome of every game and the answer to every question? Would you get bored?
Yep.
The entire back time track of IS-BEs is immeasurable, nearly infinite in terms of the physical universe time. There is no measurable beginning or end for an IS-BE. They simply exist in an everlasting now. Another common denominator of IS-BEs is that admiration of one's own illusion by others is very desirable. If the desired admiration is not forthcoming, the IS-BE will keep creating the illusion in an attempt to gain admiration.
Sounds like a human.
Yeah. One could say the entire physical universe is made of unadmired illusions. And that's why it perpetuates, because it's seeking
admiration. But also, like, it tracks with at least humans, right? Like, this idea of, like, being bored. Like, like this everlasting boredom, because you know all that is. You're like, okay, well, what do I do now? I want to experience something. I want to feel something. Right. I want to do something.
There's a difference between knowing all that. It's like the difference between, like, let's say you code a game, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you sit and you code Pong, right? And you understand what you're trying to create as you're trying to create it. And you understand that if you do this or you do that, it should behave in this or that way. Mm-hmm. And all that is super analytical. And if all you do is stay in the coding space, at some point you might get bored. At some point you have to go in and you have to play the game. You have to be in it, because it's one thing to know that if you do this, it'll do that. But it's a totally different thing to actually do this or and that know what to the best of your ability.
And know as it feels like to do it.
Maybe specifically you have to be an imperfect being who can't
do the things you think it should do in any given moment. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You have to be the being that can't make the choices you think are the best for the being.
Right. Because your thought and your physical coordination are not perfect.
Right.
Right.
Right. Oh, it's human. That's the human, experience right there.
Yeah. The origins of this universe began with the creation of individual illusory spaces.
Okay.
These were the home of the IS-BE. Sometimes a universe is a collaborative creation of illusions by two or more IS-BEs. A proliferation of IS-BEs and the universes they create sometimes collide or become commingled or merge into an extent that many IS-BEs shared in the co-creation of a universe.
That's interesting.
So I imagine you're floating in space just in the vacuum. There's not even any stars around. And you just like dream. And you create this dream world and this like this bubble around you that is the dream world you're dreaming. Mm-hmm. But then there's another being off outside your bubble with their own bubble dream world, and they're drifting towards you. And then your bubbles collide. And so you're now existing and being influenced by the co-creation of someone else.
Mm-hmm. You let that happen a million times or a trillion times.
And now you can take that to another level by being like, oh, hey, that was kind of fun when our bubbles merged. Yeah. Like, let's make a new bubble from scratch together.
Let's do that again.
Right.
Yeah.
Like let's try something together. I don't know. Imagine if you get countless of these all to put their creative energies in at the same time.
Yes. Well, and that brings new perspective into this idea of the prison planet too, right? Because like if we were always IS-BEs, no matter the domain or the old empire, what if the old empire was just a long-standing iteration of that, where all these bubbles continued to collide and form, and it wasn't necessarily like maybe over trillennia it looks like a prison, but what if in the beginning it started out as the willingness to collide bubbles with others in order to make an ever changing and an ever dynamic world in which to inhabit, to experience things that you would never experience in your own singular bubble?
I mean, in a sense, under this sort of paradigm, that's what everyone's life is, right?
Yeah.
Is their own attempt to dream their little individual portion of the bubble that they're floating in. You know?
True. But while simultaneously interacting with other bubbles.
Right.
Whether you want to or not, you know?
Right.
And like that is part of the challenge of any individual once you sign up for that.
Yeah.
Because there are people who in human earthly life will remove themselves from society in order to like gain some sort of like revolution. But the thing is like we are connected. So the fact that you are going to disconnect yourself from the connected is in a sense negating the rules of which you had set for yourself.
Yeah.
By joining with other bubbles.
Well, and also, if we think about it on human scale and then try and scale up from it, like on a human scale, like a year is significant, right? Mm-hmm. We only have a countable many of those, right? But on a human scale, a second is insignificant.
Right.
We have, I mean, I know there's a countable many of seconds in a person's life if you actually do the math, but in experience, there's an uncountable amount of seconds because no one's actually tracking the seconds they're alive, right? Mm-hmm. And 1 second can come and go, and no one would be the wiser if you do something weird for 1 second of your life, right?
Yeah.
So if you start scaling up the time scales to trillennia, to the entire big, like let's say the Big Bang is real, from the entire Big Bang forward, 13.8 billion years, and you decide to incarnate into this universe, be a part of this video game, be a part of this dream, right? Like it seems like a significant decision if maybe you're stuck for the entire existence of the universe, right? Until the universe ends.
Sure.
But
if it's just
the word immortal is like the word infinity. Mm-hmm. And so on the scale of immortality, 13.8 million years, billion really years might be like seconds. A second to
or 13.8 seconds.
Right, to a human.
Yeah.
And so who wouldn't play a fun game for 14 seconds of their life if it sounds like a fun thing to do.
If it's gonna, if it seems like it might have some big outcome for you. Yeah.
Or even if it's not, even if it's just fun.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like, I'm going to try this game and you just die, you suck. And then 14 seconds later, you're like, well, that game sucked.
But if you can redo those 14 seconds,
well, you can play again 14 seconds later.
Yeah. Every 14 seconds, you can keep playing.
And so, like, we have to consider these timescales, right? Like, if we are truly immortal spiritual beings.
Yeah, it is helpful to dumb it down like
then
that.
Then the entire time scale of the universe could be like a second to a human life. Right.
Or and even if a trillion years is a second.
The trauma, the terrible ups and downs, like in the scale, once you zoom out to it just being a 14-second event. It doesn't mean those things didn't happen. It doesn't mean they weren't traumatic or whatever or beautiful.
But how much credence or how much weight do you place on it?
How much does that place on your entire immortality, right?
Yeah. I love thinking about this. All right, let's finish this up.
Cool. IS-BEs diminish their ability in order to have a game to play. IS-BEs think that any game is better than no game. They will endure pain, suffering, stupidity, privation, and all manner of unnecessary and undesirable conditions just to play a game. Pretending that one does not know all, see all, cause all is a way to create the conditions necessary for playing a game. Unknowns, freedoms, barriers, and or opponents and goals. Ultimately, playing a game solves the problem of boredom.
Yeah.
In this fashion, all of the space, galaxies, suns, planets, and physical phenomena of this universe, including life forms, places, and events, have been created by IS-BEs and sustained by mutual agreement that these things exist. There are as many universes as there are IS-BEs to imagine, build, and perceive them, each existing concurrently within its own continuum. Each universe is created using its own unique set of rules, as imagined, altered, preserved, or destroyed by one or more IS-BEs who created it. Time, energy, objects in space, as defined in terms of physical universe, may or may not exist in other universes. The domain exists in such a universe, as well as in the physical universe. One of the rules of the physical universe is that energy can be created but not destroyed, which is different than our understanding of physics, which is that energy can neither be created nor destroyed.
Right.
So she's saying it can be created, but it cannot be destroyed. So the universe will keep expanding as long as IS-BEs keep adding more new energy into it.
So the density theory, that the increasing density theory could still hold then.
Yeah. It is nearly infinite. It is like an automobile assembly line that never stops running and none of the cars are ever destroyed. Every IS-BE is basically good. Therefore, an IS-BE does not enjoy doing things to other IS-BEs which they themselves do not want to experience. For an IS-BE, there is no inherent standard for what is good or bad, right or wrong, ugly or beautiful. These ideas are all based on the opinion of each individual IS-BE. The closest concept that human beings have to describe an IS-BE is as a god. All-knowing, all-powerful, infinite. So, how does a god stop being a god? they pretend not to know.
Ew.
How can you play a game of hide and seek if you always know where the other person is hiding?
You shut yourself off from it.
Yep. You pretend not to know where the other players are hiding, so you can go off to seek them. This is how games are created.
Yeah.
You have forgotten that you are just pretending. In so doing, IS-BEs become entrapped and enslaved inside a maze of their own devising. Dude, this is like bringing me flashbacks of my D&T experience.
Like it's all a game, and our ability to understand it as a game is almost the rule that you live by.
That is the main thing I came away from in my experience. It was like, oh yeah, this is all a game. We're here for fun. Like we're here to play. All meant to be. Wow, how beautiful it is. Like I'm just playing. Like any negative thing that's happening is just such a temporary. It's like worrying what color Mario's shoes are in the 2 seconds you run forward and die to the first Goomba. You know, like it's so insignificant, but it's still part of the game. Like, and you're doing it because you want to do it. Like you're here to play.
It reminds me of the quote. Oh no, it's escaping me. Dang it. I had it. I lost it though. Sorry about that.
Well, tell me if you get it back.
I will.
Got a couple more paragraphs.
Okay, go ahead.
How does one create a cage, lock one's own self inside the cage, throw away the key, and forget there is a key or a cage, and forget there is an inside or outside, and even forget there is a self? Create the illusion that there is no illusion. The entire universe is real, and that no other universe exists or can be created. That's a really cool analogy.
Yeah, I like that.
On Earth, the propaganda taught and agreed upon is that the gods are responsible and that human beings are not responsible. You are taught that only a god can create universes, so the responsibility for every action is assigned to another IS-BE or god, never oneself. No human being ever assumes personal responsibility for the fact that they themselves, individually and collectively, are gods. This fact alone is the source of an entrapment for every IS-BE. You have to believe you are not capable of changing things in order to be in a trap.
Which has been the case since the beginning of materialism.
I think it goes before materialism.
But I mean, materialism stems from further teachings as well. But
I mean, that elucidation she did there helps me to understand what she was saying earlier about the different religions and how they're all designed as part of the trap, because she's right that if you subject yourself to any religion where you see yourself as different in kind and class and ability than these gods that you believe in, well, then you're just giving away your own power. Like you are something different than the god. The god has the ability to create, but you do not. Therefore, you're
powerless. Yeah, you're powerless to the
it's
circumstances.
The ultimate victim mentality is victimizing yourself into becoming a mortal, a powerless mortal.
Damn. So good. That's a great way to finish that chapter.
Yeah.
So I think we'll have one more episode of this. Maybe we'll go into some of the inscriptions and some of the personal tellings.
We might get 2 out of this, but if we work hard, we might be able to get through.
Yeah, if we power through.
I mean, maybe we leave the postscript. I don't know.
What's the next chapter called?
The next chapter is called A Lesson in the Future.
Yeah, I definitely want to do that.
Let's just get a little preview here.
Okay.
That's like 4 pages.
Okay.
Then there's Airl reviews the interview transcript. So cool. Now we're out of the interview and into meta stuff here, right?
Yeah, but Airl is reviewing it.
So she reviews the transcripts. That's just a few pages. Then my interrogation. So Matilda gets interrogated
by probably the, CIA.
And that's just a couple pages. And then Airl departs.
That's when she died. The physical body died.
And then there's a postscript by Mrs. McElroy that goes for the rest.
Okay.
Which is just, again, a few pages.
So maybe 2 episodes then, because those seem interesting. Those seem interesting, and it'll probably talk a lot about what's going on.
I mean, if we just get right to it and skip intro stuff, maybe we can get through it in one. I don't know. We can try.
We're sidetrackers, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, I appreciate y'all listening, and
start the music.
If you guys liked anything about what this episode was talking about, we appreciate y'all reaching out to us. You guys can hit us up at host@dualitycheck.net. That's our email. We'll both check that and get back to you, and we'll probably respond to it on air. If you guys want to watch the episode and see our faces while we're talking about these topics, watch us on YouTube or Rumble. Like, subscribe, comment, get involved. We've got a few people involved on YouTube now, and we would love to hear from more people.
For sure.
And if you guys are just listening to us on any of the podcast platforms, we appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, any of those things. It was really helpful for our podcast and getting out to more people. If you guys want a one-stop shop for everything, Dean's scrolling through our website here. This is our dualitycheck.net website. It's got every episode. It's got all the links. It's got images. It's got everything you need. It's got descriptions, tags, everything you guys want. So host@dualitycheck.net. We really appreciate y'all following along with this series. And if this is the first episode in the series you caught, go back to the beginning and rewatch the beginning of our, we're episodes 8 now in our series here.
Yeah.
On Alien Interview. And we're going to go a few more.
I'm going to give another pro tip for anyone who wants to check out our website. I have been meticulously tagging every episode we've ever done.
You have.
And so there's actually a tag cloud on our website.
Oh, nice.
And so it shows which topics we've talked about the most, which ones we have the most topics on. And so you can click one. So like if I click on Graham Hancock here, this is going to give me every episode where I tag Graham Hancock.
That's perfect.
And so... Pro tip. Yeah, if there's something specific that you're into, check out our tags and browse through our episodes. I think the interconnected, like Bashar here. Yeah, so there's a bunch of episodes we mentioned Bashar.
Yeah,
I think even more than that I didn't
I think there are even more, yeah.
Or DMT.
Boom, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can use our tag tree there, and it'll give you all of the insights on any topics that you might be specifically interested in, so you don't have to go through every episode to find us talking about
Trying to make it easy for you guys to go back into the topics you're interested in.
And as we go on further and further, it'll get even more comprehensive. You'll get more and more episodes on these topics. So yeah, appreciate y'all hanging out with us today, and we'll see you next week. Later.
Adios.